And it appears we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast, a skeptical vlogcast to explore the big question of why. The show started as a result of spite and the Streisand effect because Shujin, Joey, and I just we needed something a little bit more political to play with. So Streisand effect because give me 1 second here. Shujin, Joey, and I just there we go. Sorry, I actually could hear my own voice in my head. Not the one that I try to suppress with medication. It was just something technical. But I'm here now. Anyways, as you can see, we're running a pretty light crew tonight. Our fearless leader, Shujin Tribble, is off tonight dealing with some stuff. So right now it's just myself, Dalan, and thankfully somebody answered the call. For which I'm very grateful, and that is, of course, from the what is it? The south? Did you say the southwest or southeast corner of Indiana?
Southwest. I am in Kentuckiana. Yay, me.
Wow. Talk about being stuck between an ark and a hard place. That's Brigid.
Good evening.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we are running a bit of a light crew here tonight. Okay, yeah, Stephanie, thank you. Yeah, I think the echo was coming through the fact that I actually, what had happened was I had the YouTube channel, I had the YouTube screen up with the show, and I had forgotten to pause it like I usually do. Plus, I don't know. Honestly, I think if I were to look behind the screen, if I were to actually look at all the cables and where everything's cross-patched and stuff, it would kind of look like one of those server admin nightmares in an electronic sense as to how this all goes. Oh, and thankfully, again, to help save our hide and make sure that I'm not the only one talking tonight, Joseph, good evening, or good morning, I should say.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Ça va?
Oui, ça va. Et vous?
Ouais, ça va. Un peu fatigué, mais ça passe.
Yeah.
D'accord.
Moi, pas mal.
Ah, on peut parler en français aujourd'hui.
Un peu.
Ok, d'accord.
It's been a long time since I've spoken French. I think we might have just confused a few people in the chat, but that's okay.
What? Are we live already?
We are live.
We are.
Holy shit! Sorry.
Yeah, I know, right?
Holy crap.
Yeah, you'd
Holy
think you'd actually think I kind of knew what I was doing. At least that's the impression I try to give people. At least.
Well, doing a good job.
Well, I'll tell you when Shujin when he takes off, like last night he took off the Friday night show that him, Joey, and I do in Second Life, and usually it falls to me because Joey, he's got his schedules, and of course he's working and all of that. Me, I'm not right now, so that I can do this kind of stuff. So like both last night and tonight, it was kind of a thing of, holy shit, I actually pulled it off.
Yeah, but it's been like that since the first time you did the show, so.
Yeah, I know. YouTube messes up, like that Stephanie. YouTube messes up everyone I listen to. Okay, and speaking of Stephanie, of course, over in the chat, we've got Stephanie and TP Seeker just showed up, and oh god, the boss is watching me for right now.
Oh shit.
Crap. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to try to be on my best behavior for a little bit at least.
So he's watching it, but he's not here.
Yeah. Again.
Not creepy.
No.
Not creepy at all.
Actually,
No.
to be fair.
To be fair.
I think easier just to make sure that everything was working out okay, and that if I needed an assist, he'd be able to help walk me through it. So,
Okay.
yeah. But anyways,
You seem to know your way around things, so
well, yeah, kind of got the OBS and the YouTubes and stuff all figured out. So, and that and the Google Docs that Shujin left helped greatly.
I see there's a replacement platform coming out on Google.
I've
But
heard
it's probably a paid or something.
I've heard rumblings that that Hangouts might be making a comeback as a result of this pandemic, and probably from a lot of people yelling and screaming that they miss Hangouts. But yeah, if it's paid, no thanks.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I mean, if
There's
we
lots of us. Sorry.
no, I was going to say if we had like an active Patreon, or if the donations were rolling in the way we'd like them to, maybe, but no.
Well, there's a lot of open source solutions out there.
Oh,
But-
yeah, that's true.
They're quite a pain in the ass to set up. So
Well, I was telling Bridge earlier before the show that maybe we should look at something like Zoom.
yeah.
But
I'm hearing some very negative rumblings about that security.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been on I think 3 Zoom calls since this whole thing, and it's whatever software you want to use, that's fine, but it's the bandwidth. You could have the greatest communication software in the world, but if you've got crap internet, it ain't going to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Stephanie said, Zoom actually costs something after the first 40 minutes. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
really?
was saying.
yeah.
So everybody's conference calls are cut to 40 minutes.
Well, and I mean, it would be
Unless
great
you
for
pay.
it would be great for this show.
Well, this show's 2 hours long.
Well,
Exactly.
exactly. That's my point. Every time she just tried, cut us off, like, okay, guys, we got to wrap. I'm getting tired. Well, here it's like we have a time limit.
Okay.
I just don't know what we could do in 40 minutes.
Oh, I don't know. We might actually have to do like format, but
Ugh.
yeah.
That was he said. That was what he said joke. But
Oh boy.
Well, it depends on the person, but 40 minutes can seem like forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of variables in there.
Yeah, and what does the TP Seeker here said? Seems gamers and flirpy debunkers are using Discord. Oh yeah, a lot of people do use Discord.
Well,
Gamer.
Discord is open source and it is holding the route. So
Yeah, and it does a fairly decent job. I mean, it's definitely helped us over the time that we've had it.
But that's the only reason why I've ever gotten on it in the first place is because I'm a gamer, and and nobody uses Ventrilo anymore.
well, I like their sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like every time it starts up, every Sunday when it starts up, starting the wing ding thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Shujin saying that between intros, the normal horrible scopes, and the outro would take us about 40 minutes. So yeah.
Okay.
And it's like,
So-
okay, that's the show tonight. See you
Yeah.
next week.
And when you come to think about it, a North American sitcom that lasts 1 hour is actually in reality 40 minutes. So
Mhm.
Yeah, oh
to leave room for all the advertising.
yeah. And I
Happy about
got
that.
a few things about that.
Let's start a sitcom.
Yeah, TP Seeker, you're absolutely right. At least Discord hasn't so far been caught giving data to Facebook. That's a good thing. I call that a win.
Oh, Zoom has?
Where I really
Well,
hate Facebook.
Well, you were talking about the whole security thing. I think that was part of it.
Yeah, data mining I don't consider security, but yeah, of course.
Yeah. Still. Anyways,
Because to be really pissed at Facebook. So many of my friends are getting sucked in it nowadays, and I'm like, what did you do?
Yeah.
And it's like they didn't do hardly anything. I mean, nothing that I would think untoward.
Yeah. But I
Well,
mean, things
my
are
my
weird these
Facebook,
days.
like I'm less and less on Facebook because I think I made a post a while back. My Facebook experience from my computer's point of view, like 40% of the CPU is used dealing with the Facebook tracking, and 40% of the CPU is used by the software used to block all the all the tracking, which leaves me with like 20%
Hmm.
content. It's a slow experience. But anyways, my computer's dying. That's another story.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we should actually get into the to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. We don't have any updates on Rafe Badawi that I know of. I don't have a 5-minute freestyle because, again, as I was saying to Brigid earlier before the show, I came very close to nixing tonight. Okay, I guess this could be my freestyle, but yeah, I did come very close to nixing the show tonight, largely because I was angry. I was watching a lot of news today, well, the past few days actually.
Good way to get angry.
Well, it kind of ties into the show tonight. So the episode tonight, episode 312, is it safe? And that's, of course, a throwback to Marathon Man. 4 out of 10 would not recommend, but this pandemic has really messed up the world. And I'm saying that very lightly.
Burst the comfort bubble.
Well, but the thing is now, like we've had quarantines, we've had lockdowns, we've had stores closing, we've had businesses that are permanently shuttered. And again, I'm speaking more from the U.S. because that's where I see a lot of this news coming from. There are there are small businesses that will never come back. They can't afford to anymore. The only companies that seem to be really benefiting these days are places like Walmart and Target and other big businesses that, everybody's going to right now. But now things are changing in that some places are deciding that the curve is sufficiently flattened, by which that means that if there is a spike in infections, the medical facilities in that area won't be overtaxed. So a lot of places are starting to look at restarting or reopening. Now, some places are doing their best to phase it in. So I know of a few places even up north here that they're going through a lot of upgrades. Like I saw an article yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about a restaurant in British Columbia where they've taken out a bunch of their tables so that you've got the social distancing requirements. At each table set, they've actually erected plexiglass spit shields. For, again, to help block any potential transmission. But anyways,
Can you imagine eating in that environment?
Well, but the thing is, if people they're straining, they're chafing at the bit to get out and try to get back to some semblance of normality, which, rational or irrational as it is, I can kind of see it. But the thing is, places are looking at phasing in. So first you've got limited opening, where you keep social distancing. And if your business meets those requirements, then you'll be allowed to open. But if not, then you can't. And if you open anyway, then you're in trouble. I can't remember what the rest of what the phases are. I'll have to look into it. But and no, and TP Sicker makes a point. The AC is still going to be moving air particles around. I'm hoping that a lot of that is taken into account as these phases happen. But the other thing that's happening is we've got some places that seem to be doing okay. We've got other places where they're live streaming twerking in the streets. Why do I always go back to New York? I don't know what it is with me. To be honest, I don't have a beef with New York. But that just seems to be where I'm getting a lot of these, a lot of stories and a lot of reports about people just acting really weird.
What did you say? Torquing?
Twerking. You know, the dance where they're like shaking their butt in ways that would like permanently damage some people's spines.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have to be 40 kinds of drunk and high to even think about that. And I think if I was that chemically inebriated, I'd be dead. So don't look for me. Don't look for me twerking on TikTok. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so what I wanted to do tonight is, like, I'm curious to see how other places are handling this, this want to restart, this sort of need to get things up and running. No, Shujin, there will never be a Patreon goal of showing me twerking. It is not going to happen.
Kind of like Davey 505, the bass player. 10 million likes. Reveal, because he's always wearing these headphones.
Yeah, Stephanie, you've seen my face, and I don't know if you've seen any part of me below the neck, but yeah. But no, what I wanted to get a sense of was, how are things going in other places in terms of the reopening, if one is happening, because I know some places they didn't lock down. I know Sweden, they never did anything like that. But they did pay a bit of a price for that, from what I was told.
Are they over the hump?
I think so, but they decided to go more of the herd immunity route right off the bat.
Yeah, like when we first did.
Yeah, but yeah, and like I read an article today, as of Friday, here in Calgary. Calgary and another city or town called Brooks have both been given the green light to start a phased reopening. So that, which is a good thing. Again, if done right, I think it can still, yes, there is risk, but I think it can be minimized and mediated if it's done properly. But I also see that there's a lot of opposition. Like New York wants to remain locked down. I thought I heard somewhere that California, they said they were going to stay locked down until there was a vaccine. Which, to me, makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, isn't there talk of, like Brigid, you probably know this better than I do, but isn't there is talk of like they're going to be ending certain funding, like the emergency funding, aren't they, at some point?
Mm-hmm. But then again, you have to look at places like Montgomery, Alabama, where they have opened back up. However, their ICU is now at capacity. They cannot take any more people. And they're still having cases go up. They're one of the hot spots now.
Yeah, so...
And I have a problem with this whole herd immunity thing that's going on in Sweden, and I'll tell you why, if you're interested.
Please, I told you my throat was shot, so please talk.
Yeah, because I think we're going to find out in in the future, 10 years, 15 years down the line, that anyone who has contracted this, even if they're asymptomatic, they're going to have permanent damage that they're not aware of. And, what kind of medical costs is that going to present? You have children now that are getting heart damage that had no symptoms at all. And, maybe they're 10 years old or whatever. But this stuff attacks every single part of your body, and it attacks it because it causes inflammation in the endothelial cells, which makes up, the inside of your arteries, your veins. It attacks the heart, lungs, liver, pancreas, kidneys. So even if you are an asymptomatic carrier, you still have this damage going on that it may not manifest itself in serious disease until years later, and all of a sudden you drop dead from a heart attack that you didn't know that you had any heart issues. And so I think that this herd immunity thing this way, with people throwing COVID parties and things like that, I think it's a ticking time bomb, and I don't think we should go there.
Okay, COVID parties. Are they actually doing that?
Yes. Down here.
Uh,
And I just think that that's really, really foolish.
that is irresponsible. I mean, I've heard of the chicken pox parties or the
Chickenpox
measles
parties,
parties.
and
You
that's
know,
what they're modeled on, and I just think that's a dumbass thing to do.
yeah. This is that to me. If I'm using like an explosive equivalency, um, a chicken pox or a measles party would be like playing hot potato with a live firecracker. But this here, we're talking military grade ordnance in terms of just how severe COVID can be.
Well, we are, and there was one doctor I was listening to 3 or 4 days ago that was on a virology podcast that I listened to,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he was comparing it to this generation's polio. That there's going to be all of these effects that we may not see until months or years down the road, and polio caused so much damage in so many different ways, whether it was paralyzing your lungs or limbs, or causing shriveling on one side of your body. um, and that was the best comparison he had, was comparing this to polio. There's no vaccine for it right now, and I think we're all going to be in danger of it until there is a vaccine, and who knows when that will be or if that will even be.
Yeah, I've been hearing that. I wish I had it pulled up, but there was talk that there have been strides made in places with a potential vaccine, but even if and when that comes out, there's still going to be okay. So this was fast tracked, which means it's probably not going through the same trial, and I'm gonna butcher this word, but the same sort of protocols that a new vaccine goes through in terms of testing and evaluation. Um, a lot of people are, you can imagine how many people would be very reluctant to be that first set of people to take the vaccine.
Well, yeah, I would be reluctant to be in that first group as well.
Yeah.
I would want to see if it was, safe and things like that.
Well,
But another thing too is you have these mutations.
mm-hmm.
Right now there are two prevalent strains. You have the L and the S, and the S is the one that broke out in Wuhan first. And the disease on the West Coast is similar to that one, but the one that's on the East Coast and in the rest of the country is the L strain, which is actually more lethal. But you can go back and look at the phylogeny charts, and it has mutated so much between starting out in Wuhan to coming here and then us sending it back out. And I'll have to get you for the show notes this really cool COVID project map that will show you all the mutations.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
It's
Um,
interesting
yeah,
and scary.
yeah. In the chat, TB Seeker saying that VA hospitals have been doing testing or have been doing vaccine testing.
Hmm.
Um, Seeker, I would be interested if you've got a citation for that. I'd really like it for the show notes if possible. I'm really curious about how that's going. Uh, did you guys hear that?
That
You didn't hear that? Okay, good.
I
Um,
did hear it. What is it?
oh, some guy. Okay, where my house is located, I'm very close to like the Beltway around our city. It's kind of a ring road. The idea behind it was that big trucks could actually bypass the city if they didn't have to be in here. Um, but apparently, there are a couple of people that like to use it as a racetrack at night. I hear that joker every night that there's no snow on the road. I'm not sure if it's a high powered car or a motorcycle or what, but and it looks like yeah, Shujin's on his way out. So have a good night, Chief. We'll do our best here. Um, Actually, Brigid, another thing I wanted to ask the I think it was a couple of weeks ago we talked about what COVID is. A lot of people said it was respiratory, but you know, with the whole COVID toes things and everything,
Hmm.
you said it, or you gave us an article that said it was more of a clotting disease or
Hmm.
virus, I should say. Um, has there been any? I haven't seen anything on that in any news since then. Like, have they? Has there been any talk about the progress going down that road, or um,
I haven't heard of any progress on it. I have heard some more, they're still doing research, of course, but they're running into problems now where they have started trying to pre-treat people with heparin and things like that when they're admitted
mhm.
because that they know that the clotting disorders are there. They're finding them up on autopsies,
Yeah.
201, even if it's little microclots. But the problem with administering heparin preventively now when people are admitted is it's causing brain bleeds.
Oy.
So that's a consideration.
Yeah, which is weird because the every time I've been in the hospital, that was like one of the first things they started jabbing into me was heparin,
Hmm.
and now knowing that it could have done that to me,
Yeah,
uh, you know, I
and
haven't set foot in a
that's
hospital.
their understanding. Their understanding right now is it attacks the endothelial tissue, and that's what's causing all of the inflammation and the clotting and all that. And that would make sense. Endothelial tissue runs throughout your whole body, and that's what's causing so many organ failures and things like that.
What sort of tissue? Sorry.
Endothelial, it's the tissue that lines your arteries and veins, capillaries all over your whole
Okay.
body.
Yeah.
And what's its role?
But endothelial tissue, it just I don't know how you would explain it. I mean, it just lines all of your arteries, veins, capillaries, organs, all that.
Is it structural or
Yes,
okay?
kind of like a sheath on the inside.
Okay.
And this stuff happens to attack that and cause inflammation in it. And it also attaches itself to ACE2 receptors, and those are, in your heart, your lungs, your testicles.
Sounds like a sort of uh, excuse the stupid layman expression, but like waterproofing.
Well, I think it's to help with gas exchange as far as like carbon dioxide, oxygen, and all of that.
That's how the carbon dioxide evacuated into the bloodstream, heading back towards the. Okay.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
And they're
Gotcha.
finding that some people that are on ACE2 inhibitors actually do better, have better outcomes
okay,
when
and
contracting COVID.
what are those the inhibitors? What?
They give those a lot of times to people who have high blood pressure and heart problems.
Gee, I'll have to look at the meds that I take because I do have high blood pressure. It's a family thing. I
Hmm.
wonder if one of the ones I take is something like that.
I think they were saying things like lisinopril and catapress, that those kinds of things help.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
honestly,
I'm kind of fuzzy on it though, because it's been a long time since I've taken any pharmacology classes and things. But
well,
uh,
it's so weird because I keep hearing from some places about they talk about people who are older and who have pre-existing conditions are definitely more susceptible to contracting this thing and suffering from it.
mhm.
But in the conversations you and I have had, and then mapping it onto myself, yes, I'm older. Yes, I do have some pre-existing conditions. I actually had to get a modified insurance plan because of that.
Yeah.
It, nothing. The funny thing was, the one I got was actually cheaper than the one I was originally looking at, and it does everything I need it to do, which is good. Um, but yeah, pre-existing conditions with high blood pressure and with the fact that I'm on blood thinners now for the rest of my life. Thank you. I'm not sure who I'm thanking there, but again, from the conversations you and I have had, it sounds like I might be okay. And I use that very I say that very very lightly. Um, it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and risk anything, but
I mean, you might be. I think the reason that we're having so many older people die here, I mean, at least I can speak, to the U.S. I don't know about other countries, what their healthcare systems are like, but a lot of people here that are older need to be on these medications, but they can't afford them, and so they're not taking them, or they ration them, and that would make a difference.
yeah, I'm just looking here.
I'm gonna slap this into the chat, I guess our group chat, and let you take a look at this, but this is really freaky deaky.
Yeah, and I was just looking at a couple of other things here, just kind of going off of what TP Seeker's been saying in the chat about a possible vaccine. I did pick up a few things from NPR, which he had mentioned, or they had mentioned. Sorry, I I don't mean to assume. Um, these ones I'll take a look at, and if any of them are kind of what I'm looking at or what we're looking for, I'll definitely put them in the show notes for this week.
If anybody's looking for a really good podcast to listen to that's up on this, and they also discuss, the looking for a vaccine and certain medical treatments that that they're testing out in petri dishes and things like that, is This Week in Virology, TWIV.
Yeah, if you can
The
throw a link to
last
that.
6 episodes have been just awesome.
Yeah, you can throw a link to that one in the show notes too. And actually, that's where you said you got the thing about the blood clotting as well
Mhm.
from there. So yeah, that would be one to throw in the notes. Um, and like Shujin says, he doesn't like to make it about America all the time. Um, it's just that's where all the fun stuff seems to happen.
Yeah. Do you see this link here for people who are listening? It's nextstrain.org/NCOV/global.
Let's see. Just I'm getting a spinning globe right now. Oh yeah, whoa, that's a lot of colors.
Yeah, we're red, by the way. Just thought I would.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take a look at that, and I definitely will put it in the show notes. Um, actually, Joseph, I want to throw it over to you for a bit. I know a lot about how things are going, stateside and up here in Canada in terms of our reopening and the trials we're having as a result of it. How are things going in France in general, like with this whole thing?
Um, well, the lockdown has been relaxed since the 11th May,
Mm-hmm.
but everything's still very, very calm. There's a lot of people still working from home. Uh, yeah, people seem to be more or less pretty disciplined.
Okay,
Although I
so
have to say, my neighbors, well, yesterday it was party time. Um, it was funny. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I hear Rod Stewart. I mean, my neighbors have to be in their 20s, but listening to Rod Stewart at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it's kind of strange.
Well, I mean, there are worse things you could have heard if you think about it.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just like why Rod Stewart? I mean, what? If you think I'm sexy was like what, 1978 or something
Well,
like that.
that's total disco era. But again, oh, there's a connotation there. It kind of makes you wonder, what were they doing?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy because the girl who lives there was quite drunk and singing. So,
Oh, okay. It's not quite what I was thinking. Okay, I'm thinking something that would show up on Pornhub. It turns out it's just karaoke. Okay, that's fine.
you have quite an imagination, sir.
I have a very. I live alone, Joseph.
Oh,
My imagination is about all I have these days.
okay.
I know that the TMI flag is down on that one. I realize.
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay. Anyways, innuendo aside. Um. So as far as, but is it the country as a whole that seems to be fairly well disciplined? Like, are you seeing the kind of protests or something like we're seeing over here? Or
Well, let's just say the assholes are coming out of the woodwork.
so you've got your own version of the lockdown is this the COVID. Like I've actually seen it where people have said
Well,
that COVID is a hoax.
just got people who are just so entrenched in their I don't know what to call it, taking everything for granted. It's not affecting me, so it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's their. I don't want to say complacency, but
But it's not even a thought process. It's actually an
excuse
absence
me.
of one.
Yeah, it's more of a. I want to say a lack of empathy or a lack of compassion on the part of people. I think that's what a lot of it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're like 90% run by our subconscious. So, the subconscious is content. It won't even relay anything to the rest of the brain. So, we've got this basic sense of comfort, and that's it. You know, if it's not a direct threat, or if it's not if I don't see the danger, then the danger doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Basically, that. No alarm bells, no nothing.
yeah. It's and a lot of where this sort of comes from for me. I think it's fear. It's this is something unknown. It's unprecedented in a lot of current generations. Um, I mean, I've heard a lot of references to the Spanish flu since this whole thing came out in terms of how widespread it was, how dangerous it was, and I don't think there's anybody
Yo,
there's nobody
it,
alive right now who went through the Spanish flu because it was that old. So like when you were talking about that sense of comfort or how it isn't bothering me, so therefore I don't have to worry. I think a lot of people are just scared because they've never had to face anything that is so close to them that could potentially kill them, that they're turtling. They're just putting their it's like being locked in a room with loud noise and all you want to do is just cover your ears and scream, make it stop at the top of your lungs.
but I don't see people doing that at all.
Well, I'm thinking in terms of like when you said the assholes were coming out of the woodwork, or the
Well,
people
these
who
are
were
the people
denying
that
it.
don't have that, because I mean, the people locked in at home are the people who get the alarm bells, who see the danger, who are afraid. It's the ones who aren't, who are kind of impervious to reality.
Mm.
Um,
yeah, well, you can put all sorts of people into that particular
Yeah, like I'm
bubble. I
thinking,
mean, people with sense of entitlement, people with a sense of just whatever.
yeah. I just think about like people are trying, to put into place ways to get us back to some kind of function, in terms of, and I don't mean to say this in a derogatory sense, but, to get the economies of countries back up and running again, because, eventually the money's going to run out, food is going to run out, um, basic supplies are going to start running out at some point. So
Oh, that
something,
sense of urgency, I see. Yeah.
well, yeah. Um,
Even if you're locked at home, and no matter whether you think the illness is real or not, well, if you're out of work and your paycheck, doesn't exist anymore,
well, yeah.
you're gonna start feeling the pain.
Yeah, and you've got the paycheck protection programs. You've got the bonuses from, um, or not bonuses, but the relief checks, stimulus checks. Sorry, coming from the U.S. government, um, which apparently are so high that some employees who are working are being asked to be laid off because they'd make more on unemployment than they would actually working.
I hope they get their jobs back again after.
Well, but the thing is, everybody seems to think that the government's just going to keep, printing money until there's a vaccine. And even after that, well, why should I go back to work if the government's going to take care of me? But not realizing
Oh,
that all this extra money that's coming into the system is going to have some pretty heavy consequences down the line. It's
Oh,
it's not as cut and dried as some people might think. Inflation's going to go into orbit after, like, when everything starts back up. It's even once I get a vaccine, once everything is sort of back to whatever they call normal, um, there's going to be consequences for all of this.
but there wouldn't have to be if this had been done correctly in the first place.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So by
we've
done
already
correctly,
I mean, we have already bailed out the banks. We did this in 2008. We should not have pulled this shit again
that's right.
because all they're doing is taking the money, paying themselves bonuses. People that have taken this relief money, larger corporations, have paid out huge dividends to their
Yeah,
shareholders and still let people go.
yeah. I've seen,
And that was and
I
that pisses me off.
yeah,
What they should have done.
I've seen people game the system, and it's bullshit.
well,
They
they
gain it every time, and what they should have done, had it been me, if I was president, which I'm not, um, it would have been better to give every single citizen in our country $1 million each. It would have been cheaper. They could have taken that money and put it into the economy themselves, buying what they need and saving the rest for retirement. And
Yeah,
that would have done a hell of a lot more to stimulate the economy.
yeah. I fully agree. Um, Things could have definitely been done better, but
And it would have gotten rid of our homeless problem. Boom. you know?
well, you'd hope.
Well, with $1 million, you should not be homeless.
well, there's no, yeah, like, where's the outrage at that? I mean, the bailouts and all that, taxpayer
The
money bailing out
taxpayers
the
are the
bank.
ones that should have gotten the bailouts.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
but a lot of those protests, a lot of that outrage, it falls on deaf ears, or they do their best to minimize it.
There's not enough protests to get their attention.
Yeah,
There's not, but there's a lot of better ways that $3 trillion could have been spent. It would have been cheaper just to give,
Yeah,
every family or every person $1 million and just be done with it.
yeah,
and your earlier point about people being so um, confident in the government bailing them out that they think they can quit their jobs. That's disquieting in itself. I mean, going back to survive by imitation. You're just relying on somebody else
Yeah, that's just
uh,
it.
to provide, to decide,
Yeah.
And I think even social media fills that function. I mean, you just, what are other people thinking? What are other people saying? What do the authorities say? And all that. That's just a means. It's like a broadcast system for whoever wants to manipulate that. Hey, well, there's people listening that depend on this kind of thing.
Yeah. And, again, there was another story I'd read where there's a restaurant that is, they're being allowed to reopen because they're following all the guidelines. They have 30 openings for their place, and they can't fill them because nobody wants to go back to work because they'd be making less than what they're making with all of these stimulus checks and stuff like that. But people don't understand that is going to stop at some point. It's
We seem to be in a world of people who just, react to whatever's in front of them right here, right now.
there was a great quote from an old Conan magazine that I had years ago. He's insulting somebody, and he says, and I quote, "You have the foresight of a milk-fed calf." They can't see past that. Like they can't see past the check that came in the mail. They don't realize that this was just until things had calmed down enough, or that the medical system was ramped up enough that they could potentially get back out there, get back to work. Now, granted, there are some who can't. Like Seeker just said, one hairstylist gave 86 people COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Believe me, I need a haircut. But I'm not so desperate that I'm willing to either risk myself or force somebody to risk themselves just for that. I mean, if it really gets to it, and if I have a little bit more of the 420 stuff I got sitting up here, I do have a set of clippers. I could do something very traumatic to my scalp that could that could help.
Traumatic.
Well, yeah, because I don't even want to think about what I would look like trying to cut my own hair.
Oh,
I've got a question for you, Dalan.
What's that?
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
That restaurant that you're talking about
Yeah.
that has 30 openings.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take one of those openings, considering that right now they're only opening at 25 to 50% capacity, so the traffic is not going to be very high, and you're working for $2.11 an hour plus tips?
That is a point. I will admit that, but again, at the same time, yes, I'm sitting at home. I'm sitting at home getting my $1,200 a week or whatever. But what happens when the government shuts that off? Then what?
Well, I mean, eventually they will, but there's no way at this point that I would voluntarily give up unemployment to get $2.11 an hour plus tips. There's no way in hell.
No, and that.
Wait a second, you're getting $1,200 a week.
Well, I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I mean, here it varies from state to state. Like, I think here you can get, like, I don't know, $2.63 a week. I mean, it's not very much.
Yeah.
But it's more than $2.11 an hour.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that people are actually making more while they're unemployed than they would. And okay, restaurants is one thing, but there are other businesses as well that are having this.
Well, and you're having some grocery stores that were paying extra money to have people,
Mm-hmm.
work there because it was risky. And Kroger and some of the other larger stores decided, okay, your hero bonus is over. We're taking that away. I would be pissed.
Hero bonus? Is that really what the hell? Orwellian.
Yeah, it was like an extra $2 an hour because you were putting yourself at risk working in a grocery store, but they've decided to cut that off.
What a way to displace. In a way, it's like avoiding responsibility because I mean these people are not heroes. They're fucking victims. I mean they have no
Yeah.
choice but to go
They're
to
being
work.
taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And they're also passing, trying to, Mitch McConnell's getting legislation passed to where if you happen to put your workers at risk because you're not providing distancing and equipment, things like that, they cannot sue you, which is
Holy
bullshit.
shit.
Yeah, that is garbage. Like if that passes, that companies are now
It's
immune from liability for putting their people at risk like that.
That's
Just so
fucking
that
bullshit.
Passes are not just the fact that somebody would come up with that bill to that purpose. That is already outrageous. That's
Mitch McConnell is evil. He is an evil son of a bitch.
we're in a
yeah.
fucking world where these people literally take people for literal sheep.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you know the thing is, Joseph, and what I've sort of seen from the States is that, okay, fine, you don't want to do this, go ahead, quit, because there are 500 other people who will do that same job who don't have the
that's how the system's set up, and that's exactly how they want it.
Yeah.
And but the real, we can complain about people like this, but the real source of the problem is our complacency.
Yeah.
We're letting it happen because it doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect me, so I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I've got my high-paying job doing my remote stuff or whatever. Who cares, as so long as I can go to Walmart and get what I want or get what I need, and I use that term loosely. Let the other people, let the plebs take care of it.
I'm okay. Well, it's not that. But we're talking about two different levels. You've got the people making shit laws like this that will be the cause of death of people, and then you've got the people who are affected. And of course, nothing's simple. You've got all sorts of people. It's hard to put everybody into the same box, but I mean, basically, it comes down to I don't have time to deal with it. I'm too busy ensuring my own survival, or I'm not worried about it because it doesn't affect me, so the problem doesn't exist.
Well, and that's the other thing too. You said you hit the nail on the head there. You said I'm too busy worried about my own survival, because everybody's running under such high pressure these days. They don't have time. They don't have the time or the brain power or the mental time to sit down and actually think critically about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just because you're so busy trying to keep your life together that you can't focus on things like what the government is doing. You can't you can't stop and think critically about it because you're so stressed with everything that if you start focusing on that, you're going to lose something. You're going to lose time, or you're going to stroke out or something.
Even if you go there, you can add ignorance to the mix, because even if you do think about it critically, we still don't know enough about this disease to know what's a good or bad thing to do. So in a way, like, I'd like to do something, but what do I do? I mean, because I'd like to go help other people, but will I be putting them at risk? I mean, we don't know enough about the disease. I mean, we're learning more and more. How much is making it to the media? That's something else. But I mean, like, for example, for the contamination, actually surfaces is turning out to be very low on the risk scale.
Yeah.
But still, that doesn't mean we should stop. Doesn't mean we should stop paying attention. I mean, we still have to. But I mean, we should focus more on the person-to-person transmission.
Yeah, but the big thing that comes out of
that,
a
little
though,
more, but it's not enough to feed or to make a conclusive decision about, for example, going back to work.
Yeah. And actually, Stephanie put in the chat that we are the Eloi, which I think that was
That's
from
exactly it.
yeah, that was from the Time Machine, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't hear that reference very often. But
No.
I mean, and that, yeah, well said.
Oh God, I saw that movie in a theater when I was
Movie.
God, I was like 8 or 9 years old. I think it was. Yeah, it was a Saturday matinee that I saw that movie.
I didn't know the movie existed. Oh, wait a second. Yes, I did. Wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know
but they cut out the parts about the Eloi and the Morlocks. No?
No, they were there.
Okay.
Oh,
I have to see that again.
yeah, read the book. It's better.
Yeah. Because that was the Eloi and the Morlocks. That was a big
Yeah.
part of it.
And when the gong sounded, the Eloi would go to be sacrificed or whatever it was. I think that's how it went.
Willingly.
Well, yeah, it was a programmed. It was societal programming.
What I forget what went on. There was like they would only take a few each time or something like that.
Yeah, but they all had to answer the call, and then ones would be selected, and then the rest would just go back to whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it's I didn't know about this thing with McConnell. I mean, I know the guy's an asshole. I've always known the guy's an asshole. And I think now he's actually been immortalized in a really bad ad. I saw this today. I was out watching TV. I was watching something that I'd pre-recorded from like weeks ago. And I was checking something on my phone, so I let the commercials go through, and one popped up, and I looked at it and went, "What in the hell did I just watch?" It was what was it? It was a chess set, a 2020 commemorative Republican versus Democrat chess set. I put the link in the Holy Crap. In the Holy Crap server. Let me bring it up here.
And the Democrat pieces are all what? Flavors of pizza?
No. What they are? Let me bring it up here. This is crazy what I saw. Okay, it's Collector's Edition chess set celebrates historic election. It's a 2020 battle for the White House.
But it hasn't happened yet. How can it celebrate it?
Oh, it gets better. So you've got the full 32-piece set. So on the Republican side, the king is Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
Oh, Brigid, you're going to love this part. The queen is Mike Pence.
That's
Okay.
I was waiting for a chuckle off of that one. Oh well.
He doesn't strike me very much as being very queen-like.
Well, he is a bit of a bitch, but that's my opinion. The pawn is a Republican elephant, of course. The two bishops are Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Chief Justice John Roberts. The two knights are, one of them is Senator Mitch McConnell. The other one is Representative Kevin McCarthy. Look, maybe it's just me, but having anybody in power these days with the last name McCarthy should be something to fear. I'm just saying. And the two rooks are W and Dick Cheney. Now, for the Democrat side, the king and queen spots are empty because, well, they don't know yet. And apparently, if you order this, they'll send you everything. They'll send you the board and the pieces and everything with these two placeholders. And when an election is finally, when there is finally a candidate, for president and vice president, then they'll send you those pieces. Then, of course, the pawn is the donkey. The bishops are Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor. The knights are Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. And the rooks are Obama and Biden. Now, this is interesting because if Biden does become the Democratic candidate, so does that mean you're going to have two Bidens on the table? I don't know. It's something to
They're
ponder.
not even trying anymore.
No, honestly, some of the lulls I'm seeing these days with this whole thing. Brigid, did you hear the latest? I'm not trying to rag on the Democrats here because I'm much more lefty than I may present, but did you hear his latest gaffe?
Yes, I did.
That is
And I'm hearing from black people, though, that they're like, get over it.
yeah,
Oh,
and that's the thing. What's that?
What was his latest gaffe?
He was on a radio show with a guy. What does he call himself? What's
it
his
was
name?
Charlemagne the God.
Charlemagne the God. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually said, this is Joe Biden said that if you're still trying to decide whether or not to vote for me or for Trump, then you ain't black. He basically told the African American community that if they don't vote for Biden, they shouldn't be considered black.
Are you sure that's what he was saying?
That is exactly what he said.
That's what he was saying. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a weapons grade face palm style gaffe right there.
Okay. I would interpret. Yeah, I could. Well, that could be interpreted a few ways.
Yeah.
Which means that the black. It could also mean that the black people are the black community.
Yeah, there's like
Why that
3%.
notion exists, but I mean, it could be that
He was
they're
referring
already
to people.
decided.
Well, he was referring to people
only-
like Herman Cain and Michael Steele and things like that.
Well, those are the exception. Those are people
Exactly.
who depend. They make their living off of ignorance, so they need ignorance. The ignorance enforcers.
So it was
Because
like 3
that's
or
what the-
4% of African Americans do not support Biden at this point. Something like that.
How many?
It's only like 3 or 4%. It's a very small
Yeah,
percentage.
that's why I think what he might have been saying is that that part of the community's already decided.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just pulled it up on CNN's
If you have a
website.
problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Which means, what remains to be fought over is the middle of the road, quote unquote.
Well, yeah,
white middle class. What's left of the class?
Well, it's the moderates. It's the moderates.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's always been a battle for the moderates. But the trouble with a lot of the what we see with a lot of the potential Democratic candidates is that they've been pandering very much to the far left extremists. The ones who scream that everybody's an istophobe for having wrongthink, and I get a very Orwellian vibe listening to a lot of these people.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
And those people are never going to come to your side anyway.
Yeah. Sorry. When I said the word istophobe, what that means is if you don't think exactly the way they do, you are, in no particular order, a sexist, a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe, a ageist,
Other.
ableist.
You're just not me. You're just another.
Yeah, you are, but you are every bad. Yeah, you are every bad thing out there.
That was a very bad bleat. But I mean, yeah, well, it's sheeple talk.
Yeah, but you know, and
That istophobe, I learned a new word today.
it, I cannot take credit. I've actually heard this one from other YouTubers that I watch. I watch way too many YouTubers. I really shouldn't. It is a bad thing.
Oh, it's fine.
It's almost a guilty pleasure. You know,
Yeah,
kind of like that,
like
that triple stacker chocolate fudge sundae that, you know, you really shouldn't have, but you're going to have it anyway because, I guess, just because you can. Or again, is that just me?
or like going to a zoo.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with going to a zoo.
I do.
Oh.
Anyways,
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
animals are fascinating, but shit, you know, the guilt
But
about
captivity sucks.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's true. But Seeker, sorry, not sorry, because I really want ice cream too. I don't have any, and I really shouldn't because, let's just say the quarantine diet ain't exactly working very well for me.
I know, right?
Oh God,
But guess what I have?
what do you have?
I have salted caramel core.
Oh,
I love salted caramel.
I do too.
Oh,
but you know,
hello.
I am actually getting kind of creative with a few things. I haven't bought bread in a long time because I can make it at home. I got a bread maker. Plus, I think I know how to bake bread the traditional way if I really worked at it. First world problems. But I buy a lot of tortillas, you know, for making wraps or burritos or stuff like that. And I also have a George Foreman grill, you know, like those panini maker type things.
Yeah.
So a couple days ago, I thought I'd try something fun. I took a couple of tortillas, put some peanut butter on them, a little bit of strawberry jam. I wrapped and folded them up, burrito style, and I threw them on the Foreman for a few minutes to toast it. Oh my God, that was good. I think the only way I could have done it better is if I'd done it with Nutella. But then I probably would have just died from the sugar shock. Yeah, see, you're right. It is bread. It's carbs. It's bad for me, I know. But it's a lot easier to make a burrito than it is to make, you know, taco meat in a sandwich.
This is true.
Just saying, you know. Although, ooh. Grilled cheese sandwich with some of that. Okay, you know what? I got to stop this. I'm gaining weight just thinking about this.
Well, and I learned how to, during quarantine, learned how to make coconut curry soup.
Ooh. Now you see, that actually sounds healthier than the stuff I've been working with.
Actually, that's absolutely amazing for weight loss.
What, coconut curry soup?
Yeah, if you don't put potatoes in it.
Oh, I don't put potatoes in it.
Yeah, no
Put a
carbs.
little bit of bell pepper sauteed.
Yeah, that'll work.
You got to throw that recipe at me because I'm now curious because I've got a ton of curry powder from when my girlfriend visited. She made me curry one night and it was really good.
I love curry.
Yeah. I am finding that I am getting a lot more. My tastes are starting to diversify a little bit. And it was hilarious. The last time I went to the store, I go look at the meat counter, and this was weird. So, still get chicken, still get pork, still get fish, no problem. But you go to the beef section, and there was a notice, and this I can't figure out. They're saying that in order to help serve their customers, they are now stocking beef that came from the U.S. And I thought, if the U.S. is having so many problems with shortages and stuff, what the hell are these guys doing bringing that stuff up here. Like, keep it down there for you guys. You need it more than we do.
Well, the shortage is because we don't have people working in the slaughterhouses who can process it.
Yeah,
That's
it's the supply chains. Like,
yeah.
we have one thing up here. I need to get in touch with some friends. If you are friends with a livestock farmer, or if you know how to get a hold of one who's doing it, you can pay them, $200-$300, and they will literally give you a side of beef. Like, they'll take from their own stock. They will kill the cow. They will carve it up and process it any way you want, and then it will come to you either flash frozen or at the very least wrapped so that you can freeze it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally right off the farm. You don't have to go to the store.
Like business was done before our middleman economy.
Yeah. It's something. It's been done up here. I think
And he's probably making more profit off of your few bucks than he gets with whatever.
They're selling them to the slaughterhouse.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, they would just do that with pigs because they're having to euthanize all these pigs, and it's really sad.
Yeah. But the trouble there is that the people who would want to, the market that would actually be willing to purchase directly like that is probably very small because nobody's working. Nobody can afford it. See, that's the problem, because it's, you're still going to pay a lot. Like, yeah, you'll get a year's worth of food, but you still got to pay. It does not come cheap. Now, if you go in with a few friends, like, let's say everybody pools like, $100, then maybe they could get enough to divvy up so they'd have, like 5 or 6 months worth of food each.
And you got to keep it.
Well, I mean, you could freeze it, that's not a
Yeah,
big deal.
I mean, we're thinking about doing that. We're going to have to replace our refrigerator and stuff eventually, but we're thinking about getting a really tall stand-up freezer and just stocking up that way.
Yeah.
Imagine if the electricity goes out, what's going to happen?
You lose all your stuff. That's true.
Yeah, you better be careful, because the Russians might be coming for your power grid. I've actually heard this. But
yeah.
Well, I guess if you got a small generator, it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should have an economy that would be able to survive that scenario, but we don't. We should have a means of dealing directly with the farmers. And,
like it used to be.
I
well,
think
it was until the 1960s. I mean, there's the farmers market and all that.
Yeah, but I think the problem you get there, Joseph, like especially in cities like New York and other places like that, is it's a scale.
What do you mean by scale?
Well, okay, so you take a large city like New York City, or even here Calgary. Yeah, we've got farmers markets, but for cities that have millions of people in it, that kind of market economy, I don't think it scales. I don't think it would scale up enough that it could meet that kind of demand. Like, especially like with the logistics and everything like that. So, and I think that's a problem.
It can still be an option, but I mean, it's not even an option today.
Well, that's just it. Like, for us, it is an option. Stephanie's saying that their farmer markets are shut down because of that. I know that I could, and again, it's just because Alberta does have an agricultural component. It has a livestock component that I could access that kind of market if, I just need somebody to point me in the right direction. But a lot of places don't have that kind of access. I don't know what the livestock market is like in New York or in New York State. And so to that end, would then a farmer, I don't know, take orders online, hack everything up, and then drive to New York to drop that stuff off? Like that's the thing.
Well, that's how. Okay, going back to local history, like the there used to be a railway that ran around the periphery of the city. And basically, what would happen is that farmers would do exactly that. But they deliver to local commerces. But basically, there was a train station where everybody would pick everything up.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah. So it's like the connection between the urban and the rural. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Looking
I know what you mean. You know,
and it was for business, but it was also for like businesses, also big families. Like I mean, like some of the richer families, and like you know, well, cite an extreme example, like presidential palace would feeding I don't know how many, so they'd have their own, or they'd have their own connections or whatever. Their
yeah.
own,
Well, I hadn't even thought about it for the longest time, and then one of my friends on Facebook, brought it up that they had just gotten a side of beef, or that they knew a farmer that was selling sides of beef. So I have to remind myself tomorrow to ping them and say, hey, can you hook me up, or can I at least get some prices, because I'm interested.
But do you see what's going on there? I mean, that before we had options, and if you want options today, you really have to look for them.
Yeah.
So, you know, our economy has been basically, they've been doing their damnedest to eliminate these options to make you reliant on a few key quote unquote distributors or outlets or whatever you want to call them.
I mean, think about
Companies.
think about what's going on in the States right now. All these small businesses have shut down, either temporarily or permanently. Yet Walmart and Amazon and Home Depot are seeing record profits right now.
But that's exactly what's going on, because I mean they're becoming the only source.
Yeah, it's just,
and we have to, like people like me, if well, I'm lucky here in Paris. I mean, we have of course all the markets are shut down, but I mean, just in my neighborhood, we've got I can think of 4 different locations where there's open air markets 2 times a week. So if I wanted, I can get fresh fruit and vegetable like every day. Of course,
yeah.
you know, COVID environment.
Yeah, I haven't looked at some of the local markets around here, like the local stores, to see if they're open at all. There's one grocery store walking distance from where I live. Um, they do cater more to a Middle Eastern clientele, because again, I live in that kind of area. But if I haven't gone to see if it's still open. Like if I needed to quickly get the necessities, I could think I could go there. But you know, I'm kind of limited in where I can go right now. But yeah, it just seems so weird.
And just even that, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. No, it's a catch-22. No, a serpent eating its own tail. Because I mean, if that sort of system, if you want access to that kind of thing, you have to buy into it.
Yeah.
But these things don't exist because nobody's buying into it.
Yeah. And you know, now I'm seeing that, you know, the Walmarts up here are now bringing in beef from the United States to keep us going, whereas you guys kind of need it, you know, down there. You like, I keep hearing about you know, meat shortages and stuff like that, and now with packing plants being messed up.
Does Canada need beef?
Okay, Walmart does. I really do need to go check out. We have a local chain up here. It's called the Calgary Co-op. It's all Canadian. I have not set foot in there in a while. I need to go and get some stuff tomorrow anyway. I think I'll swing by there and see what they got, and see how good or bad things are there. I know that beef prices right now are absolutely insane.
High or low?
Very high, extremely high.
Okay.
The last fish my husband bought was $20 a pound. Yeah.
You know, and when we were talking about fishing before we got on the show. I don't know. That always floored me when I moved to the city. What was it? My folks and I we went to Red Lobster. I don't know why. But I went there and I was looking at the menu and I saw two entrees that just absolutely floored me. Now, this is back in '93. So I'm going back into ancient history here. I saw a dinner plate. It had a fillet of pickerel or walleye, depending on where you live, and all the fixes I got. $15. And then I saw another one for jackfish or pike, again, depending on where you live and what you know, with all the fixings, $14. And I remember looking up for the menu, and I looked at my parents, and I showed them. We all got a big laugh out of it because where I grew up, if I wanted pickerel for dinner, I got off my ass and went out on the lake and caught it myself. So, so it was, I always found that interesting that, if you wanted something like that I would take for granted when I grew up, like I said, I could just go out and catch it. But in the city to purchase that, it was bloody expensive. And I imagine it's even worse nowadays. What?
Why?
Why?
Why is it expensive?
Because there are no lakes around. If I were to do it now, I'd have to actually, A, I'd have to go get a license. B, I'd have to drive, I don't know how many hours to get to a lake that potentially had that fish. I'd have to rent a boat and go out and get it.
Well,
and what Seeger's saying is it's delivery and storage.
Well, yeah, that's it. Because I mean, the whole point of a farmer, it's like saying, if I want to make a loaf of bread, I have to grow the wheat myself. I mean, that's going a little. I see what you're saying, but that's a little exaggerating. But I mean, these people are equipped to do that kind of thing, where they are. So yeah, delivery and storage. That's basically it.
Yeah.
But basically, I think there's a second motive there. I mean, it's profit because if you're living in a city, everything's expensive, and if you're living in a city, you can afford to pay more. So that's basically it.
Yeah.
And the rest is just rationalization.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as businesses go, that's profit is part of business. That's why you're in business. You're there to make some profit off of it because you have to sustain your business. Plus, you should make a little bit more so that you can either grow the business or better compensate the people who work for you.
That's how it should be.
Yes, and yeah, unfortunately, a lot of company owners out there, I wouldn't say the stark majority, but at least the ones we hear about are assholes.
Well, because they can. They do it because they can.
Yep.
That's all. And why can they is because we're complacent. Most of the wars throughout history have been fought. They always give one reason or another.
It's all over resources.
The reason at the base is just the fruit of our complacent productivity.
Yeah. You have something we want, but we don't want to get for ourselves, so we'll just take it because we can.
Like, I mean, even fucking Germany, basically they wanted a larger, complacent, conformist chain of production.
Well, I mean, after the First World War, they got pounded so bad economically that they were willing to do anything to try to get out of it. And that's
I think Hitler's aims went a little beyond that.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Because you've got a source of people. If you have a group of people who are willing to work without complaint, and well, you imagine the scenario if a bank took 1 centime, 1 cent from everybody's account, they'd be millionaires.
hmm
Well, it's kind of that scenario. If you find yourself in a position of power and you think, well, I can have a cut everything in the economy over which I control. That's a pretty enticing carrot.
well, you know what they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Mm.
But the only thing I ever learned from Shakespeare.
But basically, what allows this kind of thing to exist, I mean, it's our complacency. I mean, we don't think things. We don't. Not only do we not react to, outrageous situations like the government bailing out banks who take money from us anyways, with taxpayer money. Yeah, often we're not even willing to go there intellectually.
Yeah, there's a great cartoon that came out recently about our Prime Minister Trudeau. Uh, Actually, Bridget, was it you that showed me that, or?
What was that?
Anyways, it's a cartoon of Justin Trudeau skipping around, throwing money at people, and there's this couple. One of them's pushing a stroller, and the father says, "Look at that man! Look at that hero!" And the wife nudges him and goes, "That's your wallet."
Yeah.
But
Hey, at least he's wearing a mask.
yeah, there is that. There's so much going on with all of this. There are a lot of there are so many pieces in play right now.
And just this pandemic is bringing them all out of the woodwork. I mean,
Yeah.
everything behavior patterns that we take for granted that we don't even notice because they're so commonplace. They're being exposed for what they really are now.
Yeah, and my only hope.
Listening to that, that's another.
Well, my only hope is that when they, as they're being exposed, I just hope that something's being done about it, or something will be done about it at some point. Like, I pray, and I use how I use that term, but I hope we don't forget who did what and how they did it during this time.
Well, yeah, that sounds all rather faith-based.
Well, okay, call it my faith in humanity.
No, but what I mean is that it's. I'm sorry for poking at you.
No, go for it.
Okay, but I mean, it's basically when you talk like that, it's like you're putting it on others. You see what I'm saying? You're hoping that others react. When in actuality, the most important person is you. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
because you are one of the many. And I know things have been beyond our control since so long that we feel kind of impuissant. How do you say that in English?
Impotent?
Yeah, exactly. maybe that's not the right word to use.
No, but I know what you're talking about. It is. We are getting discouraged. We are getting resentful, but at the same time,
we can't keep thinking, well, I hope somebody else fixes the problem.
Well,
it's kind of that kind of expression.
Yeah.
Says that without saying it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and okay, I can retract on this one. I know that I won't forget. Not that I can steer an election in the United States or anything like that, but I know up here, I do watch the news. I do see who's doing what and when, so that when that time comes, that they're looking for reelection, I can decide, okay, what did you do when we were facing down this threat? Did you jockey for position? Did you try to, um, as I've heard, did you not let this crisis go to waste? Because I've actually heard that statement a few times.
Did you profit from it, or did you try to help others?
Yeah. Or,
It basically
or
comes down to
did you
that.
try to help others and end up profiting from it? I mean,
Well,
if
come
you
on.
actually did something good and if you did get a little something out of it, you got to weigh that. But yeah, my
That's
power,
kind of that's kind of distracting from the point. But
yeah,
I
but
mean,
my power is my
if you're in
vote.
if if you're in a situation like that, you see somebody next to you who's in need of help. You can either, it's a situation. It's either profit or
Yeah,
aid.
yeah,
So you're either empathetic towards your fellow human, or you just see them as a source of profit. And
yeah,
you're thinking, either you're thinking about a global well-being. It's another, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, if you think about it enough, whether you're Republican or Democrat, if you're profit oriented or not, whether you like it or not, you're dependent on your fellow human, unless you're living in the forest alone somewhere. Okay, so yeah, it's just whether you acknowledge that dependence or not.
yeah,
And a lot of these people, these fucking assholes like McConnell, well, they're dependent on this fucking populace, the taxpayer,
yeah,
paying all their schemes and all that. But at the same time, they're pretending they don't exist,
yeah,
and that this reliance doesn't exist. Because I mean, without our complacency, people like him would be absolutely nothing.
yeah.
Actually, they'd have a fucking hard time surviving,
And
because most of us would reject them outright.
yeah, so what I was trying to say, and it wasn't that I was trying to push it onto everybody else. It's like, I know that I will remember. My hope is that other people will also remember what was being done. It's not that I'm wanting to pushing it. I don't want to push it on everybody else and leave my hands free of it. I've got my power, which is my vote. Everybody else has their power, which is their vote. So when the time comes, may all of this be remembered, so that when you get in that voting booth, you remember who did you dirty and who needs to get out of office or be given the boot out of office.
And that's how things should be.
Yeah. Again, I wasn't trying to push that onto
I
everybody
think
else and be complacent. Just, I was speaking both for
Oh
myself
no, that's
and for
not
other
what I was
people.
saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the best of world situation, that's how it should be. But I mean, I can say that a lot of Trump voters, they're going to continue voting Trump. Let's put it this way: it's only the unaffected who will continue
Yeah.
voting. Okay, if somebody actually becomes a victim of his quote unquote policies,
Oh,
yeah, they might change their mind. But basically, it's like
yeah. But I've heard things like, okay, for one thing, apparently the Republican Party is actually split in two. You've got Republicans and you've got Trump supporters. Apparently they are two different breeds.
oh, but
Um,
okay, careful, because I mean, we're not careful. Sorry, it's not a warning. But you know, there's two different levels, because I mean, this complacency, that's being exploited.
yeah.
You've got Trump voters who, well, basically, you've got people feeding the system,
Mm-hmm.
or the I don't want to call them sheep, but I mean, you've got basically there's people who are reliant on their quote unquote leaders and leave all the decision making and the providing to others.
Yeah.
And then you've got the upper echelon of that, and those are the people who want things to stay that way.
Yeah, that's true. But
It's
again,
hard
on the
to
other side,
call
we've got we've got people that will vote for Trump no matter what, because whatever benefits they get from that. On the other side of the coin, I've actually seen a quote where somebody said that Biden could cook and eat babies and they'd still vote for them.
No, but that's just a tu quoque. We've been saying that about Trump, that he could kill somebody.
Yeah, I'm just saying you've got extremists and always candidate on on both sides.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, it's not like I'm not trying to rag on any one side. There's definitely there's problems on both sides of the fence, which is sad because come November, it's going to be which way do you want to be molested and how badly, like which one is going to be the lesser of two evils, which always seems to be the case. Even in Canada, we get that. Except sometimes we have a third option, which can sometimes be really scary.
Yeah. But let's just say that, if we think that Trump is the abusive husband, he's got the gimp waiting in the back room.
It's a good thing we're not monetized because we wouldn't be anymore after this show.
Yeah. What's really funny is that
next week, Holy Crap, the Vlogcast will be exclusively available on BitChute. Yeah. Although
I'm working in Debian Linux and the version of Photoshop.
GIMP, yeah, I've used it. Actually, I have it installed on my computer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, graphic image manipulation program, I think is what what's supposed to stand for.
I'll be right back. I have to take a bit of a break.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Well, this one kind of swerved, which is normal. I mean, it's what we do.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Yeah, I honestly, I didn't hear anything about McConnell and what he's planning to do. That stuff like that really needs to be brought out.
Yeah.
And the term profiteering just seems to come up a lot for stuff like that, where people, like Joseph and I were talking about, where, did you profit off of this in any way? Did you take advantage of people's suffering just for yourself without helping? I've got no problem with companies making money, in the face of this, so long as what they're doing is actually trying to help the people they're serving, or they're trying to help their customers. And TP Seeker said it. The only reason we heard about McConnell was because an inspector general was fired.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is where a lot of that rage I was talking about earlier, I think that's where a lot of it came from, is that what the hell happened to human decency? Why is it that everybody just seems to be so in it for themselves right now, in the heart of something that it's going to kill over 1 million people, I say, before the year's out. I was looking at the Hopkins thing earlier today, and I saw that I think globally right now we have 5 million confirmed cases now
Something like
worldwide.
that.
Um, and that's not to say anything about what's going to happen next. When the supply chains dry up, or when you get to that lull period between the current stock and then having to replenish. Who was it? I think it was Fauci said something like they're somebody. They're looking at possibly like 1.2 million deaths in the States from starvation because of this. Like,
And we're probably going to have a second wave of coronavirus in the fall too.
well, yeah, but I mean that's going to be unavoidable. Like, what do? Do you stay cocooned? And okay, so you either die from a virus or you die from starvation. Which one is potentially avoidable with proper safeguards? Again, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but this is where a lot of it is coming. Yeah, and again, Seeker just put in chat. Look at the lines of the food banks.
Yeah.
I've seen footage of that. They're miles long. Like, people having to wait. Okay, I've waited in line for a couple hours to do something, but something like that. And then you've got the insanity of police officers and local, like, state politicians who are coming up with all of these insane orders to, if you see a guy walking down the street and he picks his nose, shoot him. Oh wait, that'll be next week's insane laws. But everybody's so worried. Everybody's scared. Everybody is confused. And any kind of leadership right now, to me, just doesn't seem to be focusing or even trying to be kind of I'm not hearing a lot of positivity. I'm not hearing a lot of go forward planning. I'm not hearing a lot of confident direction in order to keep people safe. Instead, I'm hearing about, oh, this is going to be locked down and there's going to be mandated vaccinations. That's another one I heard about. And again, kind of on the fence about that one. Whereas there was, oh God, who was it? Was it de Blasio? I have to find it. Where basically, I think it was a mayor or a governor said that, when the vaccine is done, we're basically going to come to your house and drag you to a lab and put that vaccine in you, whether you like it or not. Let's see if I can find that one.
Well, I mean, that's just the thing, is there haven't been any plans made, and that's why we're failing so hard at this. We, should be more like Singapore or South Korea or other places like that, to where we can actually do, testing at scale and do contact tracing and then quarantine people who have been exposed. We don't have that set up. And so we're just going to be flailing around until that happens. And that's a failing on the part of our government here to not put those in place.
Yeah.
They should be able to ID every single case and trace down all of their contacts and do that. But we don't have that. And if we had jumped on this, 4 months ago, like we should have, we would have already contained this. Or at least made it a hell of a lot safer, so where you knew where the virus was, knew where the hotspots were, and you could avoid them.
Yeah. I'll have to look for that one, because it was something that Tim Pool did on one of his shows where he talked about that article, where some politician basically said that, yeah, where once the vaccine's done, it's mandatory. You're getting it whether you like it or not. Which, like,
I'm waiting, you know, because
yeah,
like when the H1N1 vaccine first came out, I waited about 8 months before I got it because I wanted to make sure the, you know, the safety profile
well,
and all
yeah,
that.
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, this particular politician might have been known for being bombastic, you know. Uh, Not that we've, you know, ever seen that before. Trump, excuse me. Um, and again, like I said, I'm on
I
the
could see
fence.
doing that to people in the military, but we were guinea pigs anyway. You know,
Well,
we were given first vaccines whether we wanted them or not as
yeah,
soon as they came
but
out.
that's military. That's a completely
Yeah,
different thing. You are. I think Joey and we talked about this. You are a tool of the government when you're in the
uh,
military.
exactly. You
Like,
can get punished for getting a sunburn because that's damage to government property.
yeah, you're not a human being.
Hmm.
Well, no, we talked about this last week
Yep.
because I was asking about the statute of limitations on, you know, when you're discharged from the military, how long before you can call the commander in chief an asshole? I remember.
Oh, immediately after you're out,
Yeah,
you're not
exactly.
subject to the UCMJ anymore.
Yeah, but while you are in military service, while you are in active duty, you're really not a human being.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
And
what
if you
GI
want to,
stands for, is government issue.
Mm-hmm.
and
Um,
if you want to talk about complacency,
Well, again, military is a little bit different because you willingly sign up to potentially die for your country, and you are a tool of the government. It's
yeah, yeah.
the,
What I mean is, you know, anybody, if there's anybody in the ranks who, you know, for all those in the ranks who think critically, yeah, well, I would do that in defense of my country,
ours
but
is not to question why. You know,
yeah,
ours is but
that's where the danger is.
yeah, ours is but to do or die. And I mean, and that's what.
Because look at all the fucking American military bases, you know, all over the world that most people don't even know about, and their role is to basically ensure the safety of a few corporations' exploitation of other country resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being a constant wet blanket, but I mean,
Yeah, Seeker. I know where Poole got his start. Um, Again, I do want to just find the article he was talking about because he did cite the source about the mandatory thing. Once I see it, I'll find out just how verifiable that source is. But yeah, it's like anything you hear out there, anything you read, you should always take it with a grain of salt. You know, one thing Joseph does talk a lot about on this show is, you know, the need for people to think critically, to make their own decisions based on analyzing things.
and acting on those
Yeah,
decisions.
take nothing at face value. I get that, and I'm cool with that. You know, and I'll admit sometimes I do fall into that. I do fall into the trap sometimes,
We all
where
do.
where the rage comes in because I've heard one thing and not looked at it, you know, critically because that knee jerk reaction. I'm as guilty of it as the next person. You know, I never claim to be smarter than anybody else unless I know that they are like completely stupid. Well, we're getting
There's
close to
something I
the.
do is
Hmm?
assume that I always assume that the person I'm talking to knows better than me.
I think I actually read that in a book somewhere. I'll have to reread that one. Anyways,
Because basically my basic attitude is that if I can do it, then you sure can.
yeah, that's true. Anyways, we're getting close to the 2 hour mark here. I think we should just wrap it up before we get way too long winded here.
Yeah.
No, this was good tonight. I actually do feel a lot better, and it's good to know that I don't feel quite as angry as I did originally. I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of shitty people out there. Hopefully, by the time everybody else hears this, I'm hoping that we're not out of the woods yet. Is it safe? I'm hesitant to say yes, but start slow. And at the first sign, if things are still looking bad, then yeah, shut down. Not shut down, but, evaluate. Right now we're in a sense of order. That first step into chaos from this is going to be the phased reopening of things. If it's too chaotic, then at least we can step back to this. But eventually we are going to have to do something. Because eventually stuff's going to run out. And then what? Okay, that's my profound prophetic for tonight. So, Brigid, Joseph, thank you both for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. When I first sent out the call and nobody answered, I just about had a heart attack.
I didn't even get the call. Where did you send it? Facebook?
No, through Discord.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I had to turn on.
Yeah, I
Discord
heard it ringing, but I was stuck in Rift. And
Yeah, you were fishing, like you said.
I was trying to log out quick enough to grab the call.
Oh, well. Anyways, yeah, so Joseph, thank you very much for tonight. As always, you make good conversation, sir.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Just the shit to think about. That's all. But thanks for hosting.
You keep us on an even keel. Brigid, again, thank you very much for tonight. I do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah,
we made it.
Yeah, feel free to plug away if you want. I will not pressure you. I will not passively aggressively suggest it.
Fuck Mike Pence.
I was waiting for that. I was so waiting for that.
and fuck Trump too.
Ooh,
And
upgrade.
McConnell.
Ooh, wow. We got the major upgrade now. But yeah. It's kind of deserved, really. Our chat for tonight, Stephanie, TP Seeker, thank you both for putting up with us tonight. As always, I do appreciate it. Yeah, Secret, there it is, yeah. I'd make a drinking game out of it, but because she only says it once, it would have to be a very, very strong drink. Wonder if one of those side of beef guys also sells moonshine. I'll have to check into that. Anyways. Okay, watch this, folks. Here's our contact information. It's up on the screen right now. You can check out the audio version of this show over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. If you want to leave us a message, you can actually give us a call or leave us a text message at 869-428-8854. On Facebook, we're over at facebook.com/holycrapthevlogcast. And on Twitter, we are at holycraptv. For myself, of course, I'm the curator of the audio version of this show over at the website I just mentioned. I've got my own blog site at inthewind.yo5.ca, and I've started a new project, totally non-political. It's actually a writing site, writing podcast that I'm working on, which you can see over at kickit.yo5.ca. All that'll be in the show notes after we're done with the show here. I think that's it. So, on behalf of everyone here, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and above all, have yourselves a good week. And until next time, as always, good night.